What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Tekken 8 Beginner's Guide. Today we are looking at Feng, a very, very cool character and a very good character in this game. Feng is very all-around. He's one of the most all-around characters in the game. Doesn't really have any specific weaknesses. He has great poking, so the heat system has helped him out a lot. And he's a good character for beginners, you know, very all-around, doesn't have any major weakness, kind of excels at everything, can teach you basic fundamentals of Tekken. He is a little bit complicated in the sense that he has a lot of moves, and he has a lot of different moves for different situations. So unlike some other characters like Jin, where it's just like, you have a lot of moves, but there's like a couple that just dominate in Tekken 8. He's not like that. He has a lot of good moves that all have like very specific purposes. So he is complicated in that respect. It will take you some time. So this guide is just a very basic beginner's guide. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff I missed, so feel free to let me know in the comments. But I just want to kind of give you an idea of the character just to get started. But if you do want to advance into the high level of Feng, you're going to have to look for further resources. So let's get started. Feng poking is very, very, very strong. One of the strongest in the game, in my opinion, especially with, like I said before, the heat system. We have a standard jab. If you've watched the previous episodes of the guide, you know how important the jab is. Insanely important, takes our turn back, +1, keeps momentum going, keeps your opponent honest. We have a couple follow-ups we can do off of the jab. We can do 1-2 for a high follow-up, 1-3. These are all high highs, which means they can be ducked. But what's really interesting about Feng is he has a 1-1, which is actually very strong. So it's a high mid. So if your opponent likes to duck, which a lot of people will when they see your jab strings, they'll just get hit by this. It is -11, so you can't be punished. You'll probably take like 20 to 25 damage. But what's really interesting about this move is it's actually a full counter hit launcher. 66 damage. I am going to touch on combos a little bit later, so don't worry about that. But not many characters get counter hits off of their jab, you know? That's pretty privileged. Very strong option. Keep your opponents honest. -11, so you are taking a little bit of a risk, but definitely not a huge risk. So that's worth knowing. Like, don't spam it, but occasionally when you know your opponent is trying to duck or you know they're going to press, you can go for the 1-1 extension. Definitely very good. And again, we have our jabs and we always have our down forward ones as our safe mid checks. Now, Feng down forward 1 is very, very strong, mainly just because it's neutral on block. I think he's the only character in the game who has a down forward 1 that's neutral on block. So neither player has an advantage. They block it, you reset to even. So if your opponent decides to jab out of it and you jab as well, you will trade. But Feng actually has a tool to beat players who do that with back 1. Now, on its own, this back 1 doesn't look particularly strong. It just looks like a normal -12 move. It doesn't look very strong. So what's really interesting about this move is, like I said before, when you're down forward 1-ing, it's neutral on block. A lot of people are going to try and jab you out of it to kind of take their turn back. But if we press back 1, boom, we just completely beat it. So it's -12 on block, so it is unsafe, but on counter hit, it gives a full knockdown, and it's 10 frames. 10 frame move, that's not a jab. Very, very rare to see in the game. So it's kind of like it beats jab. So if you know your opponent's going to jab, a lot of the time what Feng players will do is they'll check you with their down forward 1 that's neutral, and then immediately back 1 for that knockdown. It's a trade, but you get a knockdown, so you get a big advantage. Very good move. Back 1 is an excellent move. With how important jabs are in the game, having a jab killer is like super important. Don't underestimate that move. Very, very strong. In terms of evasion, Feng is a very, very evasive character. One of the most evasive in the game, honestly. And that's very apparent with up forward 2. Look at this move. Just look how far it moves. It's -10, but with that knockback, I don't think there's any character in the game who's able to punish that, like, even in the slightest. So, safe, big knockback, super evasive. So if you're just like jabbing, you're using your down forward 1, and you're like trying to bait your opponent to do something committal and they get a punish, you can always just up forward 1 and get a huge punish if they press anything, because unless their move is like insane tracking, there's no way they're hitting you. So excellent move. Very, very good evasion. While standing 1, this move has ridiculous reach. No one really talks about it because usually you don't want to use like while standing moves like in neutral, but the range on this move is actually pretty insane. It just like propels you forward. So excellent poke that he has. And we have a quick 2 follow-up to keep him honest. It is unsafe, so be careful with that. But yeah, while standing 1 is a very, very good poke to use in the neutral. Back 4, good homing move. I know it doesn't look like it because you don't have the effects, but this actually homes very well. So if your opponent is trying to sidestep, we can throw in the back 4. Safe on block, -9, but you do give up your turn, so you have to be kind of careful with that. Good move nonetheless, though. Sidestep 2, this is plus on block, +3 on block, which we always love. It is a high, so it can be ducked, But as you can see here, it takes you into a stance where your back is facing the other way. I'm going to get into the stances in a little bit, but just know any moves that transition to stances like this, we get a lot of mix-up opportunity. We really do. Like you can go for full launchers, lots of stuff. We're going to get into all of it, but overall, sidestep 2, good move for plus frames. And speaking of plus frames, forward 3. This move is insane. So it's a mid, so it can't be ducked. +8 on block. Look at that chip damage as well. Very nice chip damage. And if you hold forward, it takes you into one of his stances for more mix-ups. And you can just keep the pressure going. Press this, go into another stance. He has a lot of good stances and a lot of good stuff that we're going to cover in a bit. But forward 3, excellent move to use in neutral just to get the +8 frames. If you do go into stance, I think it's less. It's only +4 if you decide to go into stance. So you are giving up a little bit of the plus frames if you decide to do that, but this is an excellent move to throw out neutral. And again, that chip damage is nothing to scoff at. That is very, very good chip damage. Back 3, more plus frames. Like Feng Wei just has it all. We have great poking, tons of plus frames to keep your momentum going. This is another move, does good chip damage. It's a mid, so it can't be ducked or anything like that. Very good range as well, as you can see. Like all of his moves just like propel him forward by like an insane amount. It's gonna hit like here, like great range. So you can chain these together if you want, if you know your opponent doesn't know how to deal with it. Very, very good for keeping momentum up. These plus moves, I can't emphasize how important they are for creating pressure against your opponent. And the chip damage is just a bonus factor. Even without that, it would still be super, super strong. So use that move a lot. Very, very good. Down forward 2-2. A lot of Feng Wei players at low level like this, specifically because of a string that everyone likes to use. So if we set him to punish immediately after, we have... So by itself, it's just a safe on block, -6, mid-mid string, which is already pretty good. But a lot of Feng Wei players will do this and immediately press 1+2 after. So this, if we actually, or we're on counter hit, let's change that really quick just to show you. So this 1+2, it's unsafe on block, -13, so your opponent will punish you heavily if you misuse it. But what's really cool about this move is it has a built-in parry for punches. So again, we have the Leroy, so he'll just automatically jab. So if we do the down 2-2, you can kind of see his jab animation starts to punish, and it just absorbs the punch and just goes in with the full damage. This used to be a launcher in Tekken 8. If you absorb the punch, it would just give you a full launch. Unfortunately, now it doesn't. It just gives you a back 1+2 for a heat engager. So 41 damage guaranteed if your opponent presses any buttons. So that's a string that a lot of new players will abuse. Just down forward 2-2, 1+2 immediately. And then we get, as you can see, heat engager, even more damage. So very, very good. Another great neutral move Feng Wei has. Forward 4, as you can see here, it's -9 normally. We can change it back to block. It's -9 normally, but if we hold back, it transitions into our back-facing stance for only -5, and we get, as you can imagine, tons of mix-ups that we're going to cover later, but you can go for a mid plus frame option. You can go for a low launcher. Yes, Feng Wei has tons of low launchers. Very, very good for low level. New players just don't know how to deal with this stuff, so we'll talk about that later in the stance part. But good move. Very, very good move. Forward 4, hold back, make it a lot more safe. And overall, it's just a quick poke. Back forward 1. It's a pretty gimmicky move in low level, but it's very evasive. As you can see, it's like it just like jumps immediately. Look how fast this is. So this will catch a lot of people off guard if you're just like poking, using your down forward 1, going for plus frames, and then go for this. It is launch punishable, but it's great for avoiding moves quickly. So don't overuse this, but it is something worth noting in Feng Wei's kit. Down forward 4. This is a full launcher. Yep, again, Feng Wei has full low launchers. A lot of characters don't even have anything like this, but he does, and he gets very nice damage off of it. And actually, just if you guys are curious on the combo routes that you can do, so you can go for the down back 4, forward, boom, boom. So all I'm doing there is I'm doing the down forward 4, immediately doing forward 4-3. So forward 4-3, forward 4-3. 1, back 3, back 1+2. That's it. 70 damage. So that's like a very simple combo for new players. I suggest you guys use this, not just for the down back 4, but really But really, for any launcher that you're going for, you can just apply this combo, especially when you're new. You're not really missing out on much. I suggest using this one to start for sure. And speaking of this, we have another really good whiff punishing tool. So the down forward 4 is actually very unsafe. Most of Feng Wei's launchers will be. So a lot of the time we want to go for whiff punishing rather than just hitting their block directly, because we're going to get punished if we do that. So forward 3-4, this is an amazing whiff punish tool, mainly just again because of the range. If we press forward 3, like look at this, it's hitting from all. I'm just pressing forward 3 and it's hitting, and we immediately go into the 4, hit confirmable, and we get a full launch. Again, we can do the combo we just talked about, the exact same thing as before. So the forward 4-1 jab, back 3, and then back 1+2. It works on anything. So it's like a very good combo route to get to know when you're brand new for the game. So yeah, if you know your opponent's going to run at you and you're not blocking, you can go for a forward 3-4. Very great range, and you can look for a whiff punish. Don't do this on block. It is very punishable, but amazing for whiff punishing. Amazing tool. Really quick, if you guys are interested in more educational Tekken content and want to support me, please consider subscribing to the channel. Only about 7% of my viewers are subscribed. I have tons of content coming. It's free, and you can always change your mind if you don't like my content later. Anyway, back to the video. Feng Wei also has very strong 50-50s. So I talked about the down back 4. We also have sidestep 4, which is even better. Insane frames it gives you. It's faster. This one's only 20 frames startup compared to this one's 31. So most people will not be able to see this at all. It is launch punishable again, so be careful with it. But get this, and we immediately go into, get this. And you can see there, it needs to be a clean hit. So it won't launch unless it's, if we move a little bit back, you won't get a launch. You have to be kind of in front of your opponent. You want to make sure you're right in front of your opponent when you get this, just to ensure you don't have to worry about it missing or anything, and you just get the damage right away. So that's your low option. Generally, you're going to be going for the sidestep 4. So in terms of your mid option, we use down forward 3. Again, full launch, same combo I told you guys before. So this option is also safe on block, so you're not taking a big risk. The range is not amazing, but it's not bad, honestly, compared to some other characters. -7, so yeah, completely safe on block. And again, gives you your full launch. So that's generally the 50-50 you're going to be going for, mixing up your opponent with either sidestep 4 or the down forward 3. In terms of some more lows, Feng Wei has some exceptionally good lows with down back 3 is one of the best lows in the game. Look how quick this is. Completely unreactable, basically. Very fast. Completely crushes like a ton of very big moves. Like crushes all electrics, obviously. Crushes a lot of mids as well. You'd be surprised how like evasive this move actually is. But the cool part is on counter hit, we get a little animation. 36 damage on counter hit. So a lot of Feng Wei players will just like use their neutral, their jabbing, using their down forward 1, using their back 1 to jab check, and then their main poke of choice for their lows are going to be down back 3. It is launch punishable, so be careful with it, but overall, a great tool. Sidestep 4, like I said before, full launcher. Down 2 is your more safe option. This one's only -12 on block, so definitely worth noting. Pretty decent damage. Very good damage. This is like your safe low, basically. We have some others. We have quarter circle forward 1. So you move your pad quarter circle forward. So down, forward, 1. This is your low. +2 on hits, which is pretty nice. And on launch, it gives a full, or sorry, on counter hit, not launch. On counter hit, it gives a full launch into Feng Wei's good damage. So that's a very nice one. Very nice one to use. This is another one low-level Feng Wei players really like to use. I don't think it's very good personally, but it is a decent damaging string if your opponent doesn't know to block it. So something worth noting, I guess. And then we have down back 4, again, full launch. So Feng Wei has very good lows, you know. Especially in the low level when you're fighting, people are not going to be ready. No one blocks low in low level. Don't get too predictable with these, but if you can use them smart, you can get a ton of value, especially at early level. It'll be really good for you guys. Now we can talk about his stances really quick. Kenpo is his like signature stance. All the Feng Wei players love this, so we get the Kenpo stance just by pressing back 3+4. Then again, evasion. Feng Wei's insanely evasive. Look at this. He literally has a stance which can get him out of trouble. So you're jabbing, you're using your down forward 1, using all your safe moves we talked about, and then you think you're in trouble. Usually we don't use this by itself. We dash and then use it. So dash back and then use it to cover more ground. So dash, back 3+4. And look how much ground this covers. It is a stance as well, so we unlock a whole set of new moves off of it. Just to go over quickly the best ones. 2 is our heat engager, so back 3+4, 2. This is his best one in my opinion, mainly just because of how fast it is, 14 frames. Comes out very fast. It's safe on block, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. As you can see, -9 on block. And yeah, comes out very fast, decent range. You can actually surprise people with this, just because they go back, they press buttons, boom, you just power through it. And yeah, very, very good heat engager. We also have, for mix-ups, we have a mid launcher. So if we press 3, full mid launcher into your combo. We have 1, this is a plus on hit low. So +4 on hit, actually not bad. Decent damage too. This one is only -13 on block, so it's not too risky. You're not going to get launched by it unless you're playing against a Kazuya. So this is like a relatively safe low to go out of for your mix-ups. But like as you can see, the whole thing is like you're mixing your opponent up, like using your moves, using your plus frames, and then when they're not expecting it, go into Kenpo, use your heat engager, or maybe you use your full launcher if they're expecting the heat engager. Because the heat engager is a high, so they can duck it. So that's when we implement the mid launcher to go for it. We have 3+4, so back 3+4 and then 3+4 again. This is a huge range attack that's safe on block and gives big damage and knockback on hit. It's a full knockdown actually. As you can see, the range here is pretty insane. Like if we're like here, it's just gonna hit, and as you can see here, it is fully safe on block at -7. So very good option. Those are your main options you'll be using out of Kenpo. So it'll take some time to get used to them, but just keep it in the back of your head. You're not going to get all this right away, but because like I said before, Feng Wei is a very complicated character. Another stance is the same input, 3+4, but we just press forward this time. This isn't the greatest, but the main moves out of this stance that you'll be using are 1+2. This is a safe mid that gives a knockdown on hit, and 3. As you can see here, very interesting. It's a high homing, so if your opponent tries to sidestep, it'll catch them. Chip damage as well, +3 on block, and it transitions into another stance. So we have lots of stance transitions. Press it, you press 3, and you can see how he turns around and goes to his back, which there's a lot of cheeky stuff we can do off of this. I'm going to talk about the back stance in just a second, but something interesting is you can go 3, hold back, and then when your opponent doesn't expect it, we also have a launcher from the back facing forward with down 3. So you can go for like a lot of stuff here that your opponent won't be expecting. You're in plus frames, right? And then we also have the other option to mix it up from the back facing stance, which is 3. +8 on block. So very, very strong. Don't worry about that for now. I'm going to get back to that in a little bit. But it is worth knowing. So, but generally in just this stance, the forward 3+4, we just mix up the high and we mix up the mid. I believe we also have another low with 4, which is +3 on hit, so not bad. You have decent options here. To get into the last stance, which is, it's not even really a stance, it's just where his back is facing forward. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the forward 4, hold back automatically transitions into the back facing stance. Very, very good to catch people off guard. Like I said before, down 3, full launcher. No one is expecting this. No one is expecting this. So you can use this to get a lot of free wins. And like I said before, 1+2 is our -3 safe mid mix-up. And I believe we also have, like I said, that 3 gives +8 on block. So things to work with here. Again, take this at your own pace. It's going to be overwhelming, especially if you're new, but just try not to worry too much. In terms of heat engagers, we have forward 2, safe on block, very strong heat engager. We have forward 1+2, which is another safe. This is a high, so a little bit more risky because it can be ducked, but oops, not that one. Just forward 1+2. Another safe on block. We have Kenpo 2, the one I mentioned earlier. This is his best one in my opinion. And we have back 1+2. As I mentioned earlier, -19, so you have to be very, very careful with this. This is more of a whiff punish. I wouldn't ever use this if you think your opponent's going to block. But if your opponent's like running towards you and you know they're going to use something laggy, it actually has surprising decent range and it's fast. So a lot of people like to like jab, back 1+2. But super, super risky if your opponent blocks it, so be careful. Decent range though, and it's quick, very quick. 13 frames, like that's pretty fast for a Whiff Punisher and a Heat Engager. So what can Feng Wei do in Heat? It's not that much. While he's in Heat, back 1 becomes amplified. As you can see here, if we set him to block really quick, it becomes only -8 on block instead of before it was like -12 or -10, so it was punishable. So only -8 becomes completely safe. Does take a bit of your meter, but it's not so bad. And we no longer need a counter hit to get a knockdown. It'll knock down on regular hits. Nice, and you can get a couple follow-ups off of that as well. 3+4 becomes a new super strong +12 move on block. As you can see, set him to block. This is like a very... It's gimmicky. It's going to be like a more of a matchup check. But we press 3+4. It's like a tornado. +12 on block forces them into crouch. And I don't know if you noticed, but this immediately turns him into the back step where his back is facing you. So we can do, again, down back 3 for a full launch. This is very, very good in this particular situation. It's like a flow chart that a lot of them go for. Mainly just because they're -12, right? They almost have no time to react to this, basically. It's pretty much guaranteed unless they just immediately duck crouch and just completely gas. But no one's reacting to that. So, again, you go into the back stance, so you have mix-ups there. +12 on block. Very, very nice out of Heat. Also in Heat, I believe the forward 1+2, which I didn't even mention earlier because it's not particularly good. It's a move you can just charge up to make it more safe. While you're in Heat, if you fully charge it, it gives you a breaks block. Oops. It breaks block and gives you 11 frames to do whatever. Sorry, forward 1+2. You can see there, breaks block, so you can gives you like a 1-2 or whatever. Nothing too crazy, but it's part of his Heat, something worth noting. In terms of punishments, we have pretty standard punishment. 10 frame is 1-2-2. 13 frame is back 1+2, our Heat Engager. And our 15 frame is our up forward 4 for a full launch. For while standing, we have while standing 4 for 11 frame. 13 frame is while standing 1-3. And our 15 frame launcher is the while standing 3 for a full launch. Anyway, that's going to be about it for this video. We did it quickly. I know it's going to be overwhelming. Feng Wei's a character with, like, there's a lot to him. So, like I said before, there's definitely a lot of stuff I missed. Feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll maybe pin some comments or make, like, a pinned comment, like, going over some extra stuff if you guys are looking for more details. But, yeah, that's going to be about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you want to see more guides like this and support the channel, like I said earlier, please consider subscribing. It really means the world to me. Anyway, that's about it. Take it easy.